Hey there everyone, this is going to be, hopes to be a short little info FAQ guide to a lot of the queries that the DGL has got over the last couple of weeks, and this is obviously because there's a huge amount of first time players, 77 Dota 2 teams at the moment, and I don't know where any of them came from past the first 35, but yeah, it's just going to be a couple of questions that we seem to crop up or that we think are worth answering for future people who are going to ask the same question. So let's kick it right off with what are the dates of the DGL. So registration for the first leg of the league is already underway. It's actually been extended till the 20th of January for late registration, so register on up as soon as possible if you haven't done so. League 1 is from the 29th of Jan to 25th of March. It's about 8 weeks. A short gap of a week before the playoffs begin, which are going to be over 4 weeks, and then another short gap so that teams can register on up for the second leg. And leg 2 also 8 weeks, then playoffs 4 weeks after a 1 week gap, and the championships are still to be decided, but they'll be, if from history, I would say the latter half of September. Second question coming in was, what are divisions? So the system used to be a little bit not scalable in that there used to just be Premier Division, First Division, Second Division, all the way down to however many divisions were required, and each of those had 10 to 12 teams, and that means that a lot of teams were playing a lot of games in every single leg. And while that is a good thing, we think it's a little bit better to change the structure up a bit, make it easier for new teams, if they are good enough, to make it right into the top, into the Premier Division, and go all the way to the Championship. So Premier Division is a little bit smaller than expected, 8 teams. It's going to mean that they don't have to play any pick and plays. They're going to have 8 weeks to finish off their 7 matches, and they're going to just have a great time in, and as viewers, we're going to have a great time in seeing some good quality games. First Division's a little bit bigger, 10 teams, so 2 pick or plays for your team there, and a bye as well. But obviously First Division is kind of the gatekeeper for Premier Division, trying to hold out the masses that are the Second Division, and at the same time themselves trying to sneak into Premier Division. So First Division is where a lot of action is going to be at, and that's going to be very exciting to see. Second Division is going to be a lot of little groups. For Dota, it's probably going to be about maybe 6 or 7 groups, each with 8 to 10 players, 8 to 10 teams in each group. And these groups are all independent of each other. So you only play, if you're in Second Division, pool number A, you play within your division as if it was isolated. But we'll get a little bit to the format now in terms of how you progress from one division to another. So there are 3 types of formats as such that form the whole Do Gaming League. Obviously within the league side of things, there is the legs, which are the longer 8-week-long inter-division matches where you play everyone. It's a round robin. In Dota 2, for example, it's best of 2 matches. One is Radiant, one is Dire, kind of home and away. And then there's the promotion relegation matches, which is, it serves to filter teams up and down depending on how they performed over the leg. And obviously there's no automatic promotion or relegation, so if you come top in First Division, doesn't guarantee you entry to Premier Division. You still have to fight your way up. If you are legitimately team number 9 in the country, you shouldn't necessarily expect to go straight into Premier Division, so you have to fight your way in. And we'll get into that in a little bit, and then the championships are the finals, the LAN finals of the Do Gaming League, and these, I wouldn't say are completely unknown, but I would guess that the format is going to be something like, for Dota 2 at least, groups into some sort of bracket play, but this is only going to be confirmed once the championship details have been released. So stay tuned for that, I guess. So let's get talk a little bit about the promotion relegation matches, because those are quite complicated really. So there's 2 sets of promotion relegation matches. One is going from the First Division to the Premier Division, and one is going from the Second Division groups to the First Division. So let's talk about the first one, is the Premier Division to, well, First Division and Premier Division. The bottom 3 of Premier Division and the top 3 of First Division go into a single group, 6 teams only, They play best of one round robins, quick fire games, and the top 3 after all of that, there might be a little bit of tiebreakers required, but pretty much after that, that's the top 3 go into Premier and the bottom 3 move down to First Division. So we could see a full 3-3 swap over, depending on how well Premier Division works out compared to First Division and what sense of competition there is. The little bit more complicated promotion relegation lineup is between First Division and Second Division, where the top 2 teams from each group of the multiple groups over here, the top 2 of each one of these goes into a pool with the bottom 4 of First Division, and there might be this might be split into 2 separate groups. And once again, this will be a similar format, best of one round robin with tiebreakers if they're required. So the whole goal is pretty much to move at most 4 teams up and 4 teams down, or 0 teams up and 0 teams down, depending on how well these challenges work out. Okay, so how do lineups work? Premier and First Division have to keep 5 members out of their maximum 8 intact, which means that if you have a lineup at the moment of 5 players, you can't actually make any direct substitutions, but you can obviously add players to your team. So you can add 3 players to your team if you wished. Second Division, it's a little bit more lax. Obviously, if you only have to keep 4 players in your team to keep your seed, and if you have a team of 8, obviously this means that you can swap out half your team and get another half in and keep your seed in Second Division. And if you move up, if you're promoted, you keep the regulation, the limitation, such as Second Division 4 out of 8, with you for the next till the next transfer window. So let's have a quick look. There are 5 different times when you can make changes before Leg 1 starts, during the Leg 1 transfer window, which is midway through Leg 1 after 4 weeks. Before Leg 2, you can also make a change, and then during Leg 2, also once again midway through Leg 2, and then just before the championships, you'll also be able to make some last-minute changes, possibly a reduced amount, possibly a few more, but at the moment, at least for the first 4 of these transfer windows, you have to keep the current regulations, which are 5 out of 8 or 4 out of 8. So it's really, really recommended that you get a couple of subs and you register them up, because it just gives you more flexibility when it comes to being able to make changes in your team. You don't want to be in a position where you're keeping a player on your team just because if you don't, you're going to lose your seed. It's much better to prepare and have a sub available. And despite the fact that you do have a 7-day window in which you can play your leg matches, it is still, some teams do have issues organizing matches, and it is highly recommended that you have subs available and registered for your team before the leg even starts. You do have a few days to make some last minute changes and make some last minute additions, and that just makes it easier for both you and your opponents, and that's, I guess, fair. So where do I see games? Like, what I've registered, what do I do now? And basically, after the 20th, when registration is closed, you'll be put in your relevant divisions, and for existing teams that played in the Steel Series Spring League, their seeds, if you remained intact, 100% intact, all the same players, and you finished off the league, you didn't retire, you'll actually be moved straight into Premier Division, and a couple of teams will overflow into First Division, obviously depending on their results. And then a couple of the teams who've got a core remaining, or a couple of players remaining from their Steel Series League, will get shifted up, and all the new teams will come in Second Division. So if you're a new team, if you have 3 or 4 players who've never played in DGL, then you can kind of expect to go straight into Second Division. And obviously, as I've shown above, it's not really a big train smash. You're going to play 1 leg within that division. If you're really, really good, you'll move straight away. After the promotion relegation matches where you crush everyone, you'll move straight up into First Division, and then once again during Leg 2 you can do the same to leapfrog all the way into Premier League in 1 year. So this is obviously a little bit better in that you don't have to, if you start off in 6th Division, you don't have to spend 2 years fighting your way up to Premier Division. It's a little bit faster, and you should settle in your correct skill bracket as soon as possible. So this is the kind of thing that you'll get put into. This results page log, as well as all the matches. So let's have a look here. This happened to be for the pre-season seeding showdown. There were 15 teams, I think, 15 or 16. One retired. Yeah, so there were a couple of teams that played in this. You can see over here all the matches for round 1 are visible here. Game, team versus team, listed all the way down, and these are all links to the page match, which I'll get onto in a second. You can see all your games won, your matches, how many points you've got, and it also shows the dates, which are very important for each of your matches. You must obviously put all your results in before the closing time of the round. So there we go, that's what that looks like. Match page will show you your 2 teams, who you're playing against. There's a little room for discussion, so you can agree on a time and you can get in contact with each other. And for managers, you'll see an interface like this over here. So you'll be able to put in a result once the game is completed. You'll be able, one manager only will be able to put in the results. Only managers can see this interface over here. But yeah, manager 1 will put in a result, and then manager 2 will be able to either accept that result or make their own result. And it's very important that if you're a manager of your team, that you put that in properly, and that you verify your opponent's score. Just because it automatically goes in the log, it makes it a little bit easier for everyone, and you also see the results straight away. You see your updates, your points, and that's really a nice thing to see. There is room to add a screenshot, and it is compulsory, and this will be enforced, that you add a screenshot to every single game that you play. We need just an in-game screenshot. Just take a print screen and upload it. One of the 2 teams has to submit it, and I think the onus is kind of on the winning team to submit it. I think that's kind of how it'll go, but I mean, it is a responsibility of both teams to put it up. Okie doke. So let's say you're stuck and you don't really know what to do. So the first thing you should do is you should ask your friends, and if you don't have any friends, then I'm sorry, but you should find some friends, and otherwise you should ask around. There's a bunch of social media options that you have. You have Facebook. You could even resort to asking people on Twitter. No guarantees about that though. But there are a bunch of Facebook groups up and around. This is one that I happen to frequent. Has a bunch of information. It's going to have all the casting information. You'll see. We'll get onto that in a few seconds, but this is one of the better places. There's also the DGL Gaming Forums, and if you kind of stuck on those or you need help very quickly, I recommend that you make a ticket on the Helpdesk, and I've included the link here. And in line with that comment, I think that it's also highly recommended that you all keep up to date in terms of the news, just because there might be changes, there might be rule changes, there might be clarifications, and obviously you should always have someone in your team who's looking out for all the news, looking out for announcements, if not your entire team doing it. But yeah, I know a lot of teams have one dedicated newsman. So I don't have Telkom as an ISP. Can I still play? Yes, you can. That's quite straightforward. How do I watch games? So as South Africa's internet has got marginally better over time, it is now possible to stream games, and obviously with Dota 2 and certain other games are coming out with it, you have the ability to do in-game streaming and audio commentary. So how am I going to be able to watch the games is a little bit tricky, but hoping to make that a little bit simpler. On the Dota 2 portal on Do Gaming, you currently see this registrations now open link. This will eventually be changed to watch games, and there'll be, hopefully it'll just be a link to a forum, to the Do Gaming forum, which will just have a little bit of a spiel on how you join and a schedule of upcoming matches, and those you'll be able to have a quick look at every day or whenever you want to watch, much in the same way that you can see upcoming games on Reddit or a variety of portals for professional games. So it'll just have a who's casting what and when, and you're also more than welcome to try add the casters on Steam, and then you'll be able to see in-game when they're casting. You'll be able to just click on them, watch game. And there's also a bunch of live streams. I'm obviously going to punt mine. That's own3d.tv/Knoxville, and whenever that's up, I'll probably just put a post out on some social media, like a group, the group I showed, and here's the link to that group actually. So you are able to just join. Feel free to join those type of things. I know a lot of people have got their own private groups. Just get involved. The more information you have, the more access to information you have, the better viewing experience you'll have for the Do Gaming League. There's hopefully going to be some more streaming for other titles, but at the moment I only really know of StarCraft 2 getting a little bit, and Dota getting quite a lot of casters who are very, very excited. So that's all the serious questions. The last question is, will there be jazz? This was asked by Team MFB, Matt's Fun Buddies, and the answer is, sadly, there will be only smooth, sexy jazz. So I hope this has explained a little bit about the Do Gaming League, and if you have any more questions, feel free to spam myself and or the places I've listed above in I'm Stuck What Do. Thanks very much for tuning in, guys, and see you during the Dota 2 League. Hopefully I don't have to play against you, as I am subbing for a team, and good feeding. Cheers.